coming to you live from the Built Ford Tough Studio. Boomer Esiason, Greg Giannotti. It's Boomer and Gio on the Fan. Simulcast across the country on CBS Sports Network. And wherever you are in the free Odyssey app. Good Wednesday morning. Boomer's still out this week. That means we've got Jerry in here again. Good morning, Jerry. How are you?
G, good morning to you, sir. How are you?
I'm doing well. I've got CeeLo in my head, though, I have to say, as I was getting dressed this morning. I don't know if you lay out your clothes before.
I do the night before, yeah.
So I lay out my clothes the night before, and I decide I'm going to put on this vest. And I said, well, wait a second. CeeLo is in.
Big vest guy.
And he always wears a vest.
Big
Can
vest
I
guy.
also wear a vest? Is that too much vest for the program?
Nah, you're good because I'm not going to wear one.
So I did think about that. I said we're not going to have 3 or 4 vests on the program, and I didn't want CeeLo dictating what I was going to do. I didn't want him to influence me so much that I was going to change my outfit. So I put on the vest as well, Jerry. And this is a Silo Ridge vest that is very, very nice, so I'm excited to wear it this morning. And CeeLo, by the way, wore a vest today.
He always wears a vest. And I have become very accustomed now to the vest when I golf.
Yes.
I
Love a vest.
never realized how freeing it is.
Yeah.
And it also keeps you pretty good.
It's pretty good.
Pretty good.
Welcome to the world of the vest.
Yeah.
So you know how Boomer always talks about how he knew about everything that happened before it happened? Like that's one of those things where I told you this, I told you that. And I'll bust his chops. I say this to his face, too. I'm like, man, you love being right about these things. And we do the Boomstradamus, we bow to thee thing. And he loves it. I told you about this 6 months ago. So I'm going to have one of those moments, if you allow me.
Please.
Right? If you allow me. And I don't do it a lot. And I figure since Boomer isn't here, I'll give you a little taste of Boomer while he's out. So right after the Super Bowl, it was the show after, that Monday we were out in Vegas. We saw what happened on the sideline with Travis Kelce and Andy Reid. And in that discussion, I said, NFL Films has all that audio, right? Don't they have every single thing? There's boom mics everywhere. I said, do you think they're going to release that video with the audio? And Boomer said, they have to, don't they? I mean, it's part of the whole thing. It's a Super Bowl. It's Andy Reid. It's Travis Kelce. And I said, I'm not so sure. Because we're talking about Andy Reid, one of the most respected guys in the NFL. Travis Kelce was quite possibly the most popular man in the NFL right now. Not from football fans, but just people in general because of the whole Taylor Swift relationship, that I don't think if it's something bad, like if it's something along the lines of really disrespectful to Andy Reid, then they're not going to do it. If it's just, we got to win this game, coach.
And put me in.
Or then maybe they would release it, but they didn't release it. And the reason I bring it up this morning is because Ryan Glass-Steagall of the New York Post, who I guess is the guy now is doing all the Andrew Marchand work for the Post that Marchand went over to The Athletic, did some digging, did some reporting on it, wrote an exclusive article about it because he was also wondering the same thing as Inside the NFL put out there. This is where you hear all the stuff. As you know, you'll grab some of that stuff from Inside the NFL, play the audio. That's where all the stuff comes out. So the Inside the NFL Super Bowl edition comes out, and they just gloss over it.
Yeah, they had Romo's call talking about it.
Yeah.
I know.
So Glass-Steagall digs in, and he talks to NFL people, and they basically said that it's probably Andy Reid that squashed it, the Chiefs squashed it, and you're never going to see it. And that, to me, is a load of crap.
I agree. It's disingenuous if you're going to put out all these other, they put out video and audio of the Niners looking like idiots.
Yes.
With the whole overtime rules. And you're going to tell me that the Niners just okayed that? Like, it really made Kyle Shanahan look like he had no control over. It was Kyle Juszczyk, who was first and foremost, was highlighted. He was the one so wait, what are these rules? Like, he looked like he had no idea, which he didn't.
And on top of it, they had all the video and audio of the Chiefs celebrating that the 49ers screwed up.
And didn't realize what was going on.
Yes.
So I think they really made the Niners look terrible. So you're going to tell me that San Francisco okayed all of that, but the Chiefs could say no to what everyone wants to see, which, I mean, how bad could it possibly be? Did he call him a stupid effing walrus buffoon? No, how bad could it be? Because they gushed about one another afterwards.
Yeah.
These things happen all the time. Quite frankly, I do think that if these were other players, it would have been blown up even more than it was.
Oh, 100%.
So I think it's disingenuous, and I think it stinks if you're going to throw out so much of it, but not the most important part, quite frankly.
Yeah, exactly. And it's not even so much that we have this thirst for what was said as much as it's a double standard where
Yes, it is.
everything, a part of these guys' lives are invaded all the time. And a lot of it they bring upon themselves, whether it be Kadarius Toney and his Instagram Live where he was saying all this stuff he shouldn't have been saying, and he's controlling that. There's a lot of this other stuff. I mean, we talk about the Sam Darnold ghost thing, and the Jets were upset about that. And the NFL teams do have control over what happens during Hard Knocks. But to your point, you can't tell me that the 49ers like, hey, yeah, put that out there that none of the players had any idea what the hell was going on in the overtime rules. There's no way. So I think when it comes to the Super Bowl, it's a different situation. Whatever is said there, unless it is something along the lines of a strategic thing that is also said maybe without cameras or maybe something up in the coach's booth, that to me is an invasion. This happened basically on the field.
And it was shown for how many 100 million people that saw it happen in real time.
And Al brought up in the warm-up show, he said, what if this were Kadarius Toney?
I agree.
Obviously, if it was Kadarius Toney, 100% we would hear it. But I'll even give you one that's even more of a apples to apples in the sense of coach and player and high profile. I think that if it were George Kittle and Kyle Shanahan, we would hear it because they lost the game. Mm-hmm. George Kittle is known to be a little bit of a goofy guy. Kyle Shanahan was getting slings and arrows everywhere after this game. They wouldn't have had any respect for those guys to not put that out there like the way they did with this. And I think that the NFL, without a doubt, and I know, listen, I'm certainly tired of talking about Kelce and Taylor Swift, but that has something to do with it. They rode this thing to heights. I would have done the same thing if I were CBS in the NFL. I'm not saying I wouldn't. You had to. You had to attach yourself to that. Mm-hmm. The popularity of the game, the more eyeballs, everything. It just boosted everything up. So now if you have the audio accompanied with the video of Travis Kelce, America's new sweetheart, calling his coach a mother effer or whatever he said, that's not good for their brand.
But what are we worried about? To the 2024 season?
I agree.
Come on.
I agree they shouldn't be worried, but I used to say that all the time about what's the NFL worried about, and they say protect the shield, protect the brand, protect this, protect that. I think they're being overly sensitive with this thing and in protecting Andy Reid and Travis Kelce, but you can't be the most popular people in the sport in the middle of a dynasty and then get that swept under the rug. That's not because not everybody gets that treatment.
How many times did we see NFL Films relieve stuff about Brady yelling and screaming at his teammates?
Right.
I mean, you want to talk about disrespect, and I know you want to say that he was doing it to motivate them, to get them going. All right, fine. It looked pretty damn disrespectful, though, when he's sitting there throwing helmets left and right and screaming at his offensive line, which we saw over and over, and they released those tapes no problem with the audio.
That's right. Remember the Peyton Manning, Jeff Saturday one? They were screaming at each other. That was out there. I mean, all that stuff was out there. I mean, it's nonsense. Now, the Post hired a lip reader.
I was going to ask about that.
And it was, let me get the exact situation.
Because all the camera shots and angles, Travis Kelce's almost facing the camera.
Right.
So there's no doubt someone's got to have an idea of what he said.
All right. So the lip reader claims that Travis Kelce, or believed that Kelce said, hey, come on, you effer, put me on. Now, there's
nothing wrong with that, by the way.
Well, I mean, you effer and bumping into him, obviously, the whole thing is a little bit tough.
No. The bumping into, but in terms of what he said, that actually backs up what they said. Yeah. Is that all he just wanted to get his point across, I want to be on the field. And what you just read to me, okay, maybe you don't want to call your coach a fair enough.
Yeah.
But that's not like he called him a piece of blah, blah, blah.
Yeah, right. You overweight slob.
Right.
He
didn't insult them. That's probably how they talk to one another.
Right. Oh, Eddie's just giving me too many good things.
I can imagine.
But anyway, so yeah, it's insane, the protection. I mean, and this guy is just at the top of his popularity, and maybe I'm thinking, all right. So if I'm someone in NFL Films,
right,
and Clark Hunt calls me, the owner of the Chiefs.
Yes.
And Clark Hunt and let's just say Andy Reid together give me a phone call. And they say, obviously the Sables ran NFL Films. They both have now since passed away. I don't know who's in charge of NFL Films.
Right.
But they call up and they say, listen, we really, really want you not to play this audio. And this is going to be a problem for us. And Andy gets on there and goes, listen, I love Travis. This is just a moment. Can you please protect us in this situation? How would you handle it? I mean, that's got to be a tough phone call.
I would tell them to announce that it's them that requested, because then it looks like they're hiding from something.
Yeah,
if I'm the
true.
NFL, I got to wash my hands of it because it makes them look weak.
Yeah.
It really does. I'm watching the video. I think what you read to me is probably accurate.
Yeah, what the lip
accurate.
reader said.
And if I'm the NFL, I would say, what are you afraid of? Now, I get the whole, what's her name?
What's her name?
Taylor Swift. Sorry,
Yeah.
God, good Lord.
Yeah.
I get that whole angle if it was 10 times worse than what you just read to me. It's
Sure.
nothing.
Yeah, but I also think, too, like, all right, so forget about that for a second. Just the fact that Andy Reid probably he's protecting his guys more than anything.
From what, though? How does it, let me ask you this. The accompanied audio with the crazy face that Travis Kelce
He's
is
in
making,
his face and bumping him.
he looks like a lunatic.
Yeah.
How does that make it look any worse? It doesn't.
Yeah,
at least in my opinion.
I could actually make the case that protecting the audio and leaving it up to interpretation makes it worse than actually just putting out what he said. If it
couldn't
was,
agree more.
If it was, come on, you effer, put me on.
Which
put me on doesn't make any sense. Should be put me in.
Well,
but-
I guess he meant put me on the field, put
yeah,
me
I
in,
guess.
yes. And he was speaking very passionately in the moment. But you would have the video, the audio, and that video would be, again, lumped in with the audio and video we saw of them basically mocking the Niners and themselves, essentially. And then you've got Kelce with his brother, not apologizing for it, but acknowledging he was wrong. To me, it's over.
Yeah.
And instead, all you've done now is extended this mess.
Yeah. I just, and one thing that NFL players do not like, and nobody likes really in society, is double standards.
Yeah.
And that right there is what a guy like Travis Kelce, amongst his peers, he'll always be respected for what he's done and the tight end records and everything, and the first ballot Hall of Famer and all of that. But something like this is where, like, his peers will be like, you know what, screw you, man. Like, if that were me, I'd get roasted.
Let me ask you this. If that's Tyreek Hill and Mike McDaniel.
Oh, my God, it'd be all over the place.
Yeah, and it is a double standard.
I'm telling you, I think it would be any other player. I think if that were Patrick Mahomes, we would have heard what he said.
He might be the one exception, but I get your point. The Kelce Swift thing probably
and
makes
how
it,
those two are just put up there as like the greatest thing that America has ever produced.
Yeah.
And we can't have anything that's going to knock that down.
Well, what is the NFL going to do when they break up?
Oh, my God. They're going to have to have like a basically a wake on the NFL network. They're going to have to bring in that Chris Rose after the offseason and basically have a ceremony.
Might have to just shut down and go to the UFL. Come on, man.
Right, and sit Shiva for a week. I mean, my goodness.
Yeah, it is. I know the NFL right now is the most popular thing going, and I don't know what's even close to it when you look at the numbers, but sometimes they get in their own way. And in a case like this is unnecessary. I know most publicity is good publicity. They don't need us opening a show talking about this 2 weeks after the Super. It's stupid.
No, right, of course. And they probably should have known that. I mean, did they really think that there was just going to be glossed over on Inside the NFL and someone wasn't going to write about it or someone wasn't going to talk about it? I mean, immediately I had that thought in my head right after the game that we would have a situation like this where someone would have to make a decision to release that audio or not.
You know, it's so funny. We were talking on, I guess it was, when did you announce your retirement, guys, Eddie and Al? Was it Monday? Was it last week?
Yeah, I believe it was Monday. Yeah.
Whatever it was, right? Because Rob Manfred announced over the weekend he's done in 5 years. And we were talking. I said, well, be commissioner. That'd be fun. But then I sat there and said, my God, every day you've got to wake up and wonder what's going to be on your desk. Like Roger Goodell just got through Vegas without an incident from any of his players in his league, any of his coaches in the league, any of the franchises in the league. Vegas, Sin City, hookers, gambling, alcohol, weed, all that stuff, no problems. Everything went well. The Super Bowl goes off without a hitch. You get an amazing game in overtime. Couldn't have been better. And now he's going to wake up this morning and be like, what are we dealing with now? Come on.
Yeah.
You can't even enjoy a couple of days.
Right. I know. And I don't think this is going to be
That's just stupid.
like a Ray Rice
No,
video type of thing. But it's definitely, it's unnecessary.
It's a nuisance.
It's unnecessary.
Yep.
And people don't like to watch the preferential treatment in certain situations like this. I mentioned the peers and the NFL players. I mean, fans too.
Yes, I agree.
I like what? Like, I mean, this guy all of a sudden now gets protected, especially when you're talking about guys who make so much money. And if I were an athlete, if it were someone else on that team or someone on the 49ers, I would be legit pissed about that.
Imagine C.D. Lamb doing this to Mike McCarthy.
Oh, my God. We would have
plastered all over the internet and the news.
I mean, it would be a meme for the rest of time.
Yeah. How about Odell Beckham Jr. and John Harbaugh? Could you imagine?
Yeah, right. Or Tom Coughlin back in the day.
Right.
I mean, they had those things. Yeah, of course.
Not only would we release it and we would have it in big lights.
Oh, yeah. We'd translate it into every language
God.
so everybody in the world can understand what was going on.
Yeah, it's pretty crappy when you really think about it.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, here's Boomer and Gio on the Fan and CBS Sports Network. CeeLo and his vest will be joining us in a couple minutes.